Pastel Cottage garden design for small spaces, DIY outdoor living and furniture tips. Hi there, and welcome back to the Decor channel. I'm Emma, your cozy corner-loving color-harmonizing guide to all things home design and decorating. Whether it's turning a cramped apartment into a serene sanctuary or elevating your outdoor spaces with soft touches and smart layouts, I'm here with ideas and stories to help you feel more at home, right where you are. Today, we're going to wander through something especially close to my heart: creating a pastel cottage garden in a small outdoor space. It's about more than just pretty petals and painted chairs. It's a whole lifestyle vibe. So if you've ever looked at your little yard, balcony, or back patio and thought, "Can I make this into a dreamy cottage garden?" The answer is yes, and I'll show you how. A few years ago, I moved into a petite rental with a neglected little patio. It was a patch of concrete, not much bigger than a picnic blanket, but I saw something in it. I imagined pastel blooms trailing over rustic fences, chipped furniture turned charming again, and a place where a morning coffee felt like a countryside escape. That was my jumping-off point. I started with soft pinks and faded lavenders, shades that mimic nature's gentlest hues and always feel calming. I found an old wooden planter at a flea market, painted it robin's egg blue, and planted some violas and trailing ivy. That one move began transforming my patch of concrete into a romantic garden nook. It's amazing how just one piece can shape the tone of your whole outdoor space. Pastel tones work like a charm in small spaces because they reflect light beautifully and create a sense of openness and tranquility. When you're working with limited square footage, the key is to avoid overwhelming the area. Think blush, mint, buttercream yellow, sky blue, each one inviting in its own right, but together, they sing like birds on a spring morning. I brought in a tiny wrought iron bistro set and gave it a whitewash finish, with a few thrifted cushions in floral patterns and some vintage glassware. The space took on that storybook quality I was craving, and every piece had a story, which made sitting there feel like being in the middle of one. Designing for small outdoor areas means you need to think vertically. In my little garden, I used the fence as an opportunity. I hung galvanized buckets, also painted in pastel shades, and filled them with herbs like thyme, oregano, and lavender. The scent was delicious. I also created a small vertical trellis using old wooden crates, stacking them and securing them to the wall. I added trailing flowers and fairy lights, and suddenly, the area felt alive, layered, and immersive. Small doesn't have to mean simple. In fact, tiny spaces can be more detailed and intimate than large ones. They just need the right touches. Furniture in a cottage garden should always feel like it belongs in a story. I love reimagining old pieces. One of my favorite DIYs was turning a worn wooden bench into a pastel focal point. I sanded it down, painted it soft lilac, then added a mix of floral and gingham cushions. It became the heart of my garden. I placed it beneath a vintage parasol and surrounded it with pots of daisies and hydrangeas. The parasol itself was a thrift store gem, and I updated it with some lace trim for extra charm. Every element in a cottage garden should make you want to slow down, sip some lemonade, and flip through an old book. Now lighting. Evenings in a cottage garden should feel like the pages of a fairy tale. I used solar-powered fairy lights strung through climbing roses and tucked battery-operated lanterns into corners. I even filled a few mason jars with tiny lights and hung them from tree branches and hooks. Lighting doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to glow softly. One night, after placing some of these lights for the first time, I stepped outside and felt like I'd walked into a dream. Everything shimmered, and my once dull patio felt like a magical retreat. All because of a little light and a bit of love. One of the best parts of creating a pastel cottage garden is the way it evolves with the seasons. In spring, I plant ranunculus and pansies. By summer, roses and peonies take center stage. Come fall, I swap in dusty miller and pale asters. I rotate out fabrics too, lighter cottons in summer, cozier flannels in autumn tones that still play well with pastels. Even small changes keep the garden feeling fresh. It's like the space breathes with the seasons, and that brings so much joy. Plus, having a rotating palette keeps things visually interesting while staying within that soft, dreamy aesthetic. When it comes to decor, I always say, layer in textures and charm. I hung a distressed mirror on one wall. Yes, mirrors can go outside. And added some crocheted bunting overhead. Little garden signs, terracotta pots with hand-painted labels. A bird bath I rescued and painted pastel green. These touches made the space feel lovingly curated. I even added a repurposed drawer as a planter, and tucked in some baby's breath and pink geraniums. In small gardens, each item matters, and when chosen with care, they don't feel cluttered, they feel meaningful. Now, if you're wondering where to start with one corner. Don't feel like you need to tackle everything at once. Choose a cozy seat, add a couple planters, maybe a lantern, then step back, breathe it in, and let the space tell you what it wants next. That's what I did. I didn't have a plan so much as a feeling, and I followed that feeling with each new addition. Your Pastel Cottage garden doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to feel like you. It should be a place you go to unwind, recharge, and feel connected to the slower side of life. So to wrap it all up, a Pastel Cottage garden isn't about size, it's about soul. It's about creating a place that feels soft, personal, and inviting, no matter how limited your space may be. With the right colors, a few reimagined pieces, and a touch of floral magic, your little outdoor area can become a peaceful retreat that reflects your style and nurtures your spirit. Whether you have a balcony, a tiny yard, or even just a front stoop, there's a pastel garden waiting to bloom for you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope this story-inspired walk through Pastel Cottage garden design sparked some ideas and maybe a bit of wonder for your own home. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Decor channel, where we explore all the cozy, creative corners of life and design. Until next time, I'm Emma, and I'll be out back with my tea, under my parasol, waiting for the daisies to open. See you soon!